Alright guys, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw an avocado cross section. So I'm going to go ahead and set my artboard to 8.5 by 11 inches in the portrait position to get that rolling. Okay, and then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to create a background color just to fill in the artboard. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool and I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle to cover the whole artboard. And maybe I'll go ahead and just make it kind of a greenish yellow color, like you might see inside of an avocado. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to open up my layers window. So if you can't find your layers window, just scroll down under window here. It's all in alphabetical order. And I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer by clicking on that little space next to the eyeball. And then I'm going to create a brand new layer. And on this brand new layer, I'm going to go ahead and draw the avocado, or at least start to draw the avocado. So I'm going to grab my ellipse tool. I'm going to draw a little oval here. And what I'm going to then do is I'm going to, let's make this a dark brown. So let's open up my swatches here and just choose a dark brown. So if you can't find your swatches, just look under window again. It's all in alphabetical order, so you can open up your swatches that way. Okay, so after I draw this oval, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to warp the shape a little bit to make it look more like an avocado. So to warp the shape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my direct selection tool. I'm going to grab this anchor point. So when I click on this anchor point on the side, you'll see that this part is highlighted, and I've got some little handles here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on those handles to curve in the shape of the avocado. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And we're going to curve that in so it mirrors the shape of what you might see with an avocado. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this shape. And so to copy it on my keyboard, I'm going to hit Control C. And I want to paste it right on top of where it's already at, so I'm going to hit Control F. Okay, so after I hit Control F, it's going to paste it on top there, and then I'm going to scale down the size. So there's two ways you can do this, scale the size. You can go under Object, Transform, Scale, or you could right-click with your mouse, Transform, Scale. Either way, it'll do the same thing. And I'm going to scale this down 90% in the uniform. So if you have your little preview button selected, it'll show you what's happening with that. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a darker green color. And then what I'm going to now do is make a copy of this smaller thing that I just made. So I'll click on that, hit Control C and Control V to paste it, or rather Control F to paste it on top. And I'm going to scale this down just like I did previously. So you can either go to Object, Transform, Scale, or you can right-click, Transform, Scale. Either way, it'll do the same thing. We're going to scale that down 90% as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and make this a lighter shade. Okay, so now I've got the bulk of the fruit done. We're going to do a pit here in a second. But what I want to go ahead and do before I do that is I'm going to select these two inner pieces of the avocado. So if you take your selection tool, click on the first interior piece, hold shift, you can select the other one without selecting the background. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under Object here at the top, and I'm going to scroll down till I find Blend, and then I'm going to go Object, Blend, and Make, and it's going to blend those two colors together a little bit so you get a softer transition between the light and the dark greens. Okay, so now that I've created that little transition, we'll go ahead and work on the pit for the avocado. So I'm going to take my ellipse tool again, okay, and I'm going to draw an kind of an oval shape that I'm going to turn this into the pit for, and I'll make that a dark brown as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this because I want to create some gradation of colors just like I did with the other part of the avocado. So I'll hit Control C to copy that using my selection tool, and I'll hit Control F to paste it. And then I'm going to go ahead and scale this down just like we did previously. So we'll go right click, transform, and scale, and I'm going to scale that down 90%. And then I'm going to make this one just a little bit lighter. So I'll just use my swatches to create that transition in color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my ellipse tool and I'm going to throw a little highlight over here on the side. So I'm going to maybe use a really light shade of brown there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. So on your keyboard, if you hit Control plus, you can zoom in, or if you hit Control minus, you can zoom out. But I'm going to zoom in so I can see this a little closer. So I'm going to take my selection tool. I'm going to click on the first circle that I made, hold Shift on my keyboard to select the next, and hold Shift, keep holding Shift to select this last one. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to blend the colors together, just like we did previously. So I'm going to go under Object, scroll down to Blend, and then Make, and it's going to blend those three colors together to round out the shape of that avocado pit. Okay, so I'm going to do one more thing with this before I call it a day, and that is a cast shadow. So I'm going to create a little cast shadow. So I'm going to select my first circle that I made, or my first shape that I made, and I'll hit Control C and Control V to create that copy. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate a little bit, and I'm going to maybe shrink it down a little bit. Kind of squish it there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this color to gray. Okay, so after I switch it to gray, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my transparency tool. So if you can't find your transparency tool, again, look under Window, and you'll find it there. Okay, so inside this transparency window, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this from normal to multiply, which will make that transparent. And then the last thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to send it to the back. So it's going to sit behind all the stuff that I drew. So to send it to the back, you can go Object, Arrange, Send to Back, or you can right click and go to Arrange and Send to Back. Either way, you're going to want to send it to the back. Okay, so let me just make a few little adjustments with this to get my shadow just where I want it. Alright, and there we have it.